Well, I want to thank you, Terra, for joining us. You were part of our fifth retreat several
Yeah,
years ago now, and this will be fun to catch up. Before we go any further, if you could tell us your daughter's name, how long ago she passed away, and do what we do in retreats, 5 words to describe her, and if there's anything else that you want to share before we kind of launch into the Q&A portion.
okay. So my daughter's name was Mariah Lynn Keller. It will be 7 years, April 7th, that she passed. Really close, coming up here really soon. 5 words to describe her: strong, exuberant, sparkle. Her smile was so contagious. Silly, love, and just overall perseverance.
Sounds a lot like her mom.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that some days.
You definitely have sparkle.
Oh, thank you.
So, what first brought you to Ohana Oasis?
I had a friend whose daughter actually had the same cancer that Mariah had, and she had just talked about what a healing experience it was. That really helped her get her grief in an understanding that she could kind of start to deal with it. But she said also that she just made so many lifelong friends through that experience. And so I felt like that was something that we could really use, and applied for it. And we did. We have some really amazing friends that we've met because of it, that know how we feel and know what we're going through. So
yeah, it sure makes a difference to be able to connect with other parents that you can have those real conversations with, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So do you have any favorite fun activities or memories? Is there something that stands out about your time doing the retreat?
The whole thing was really special and amazing. And it's funny, my most memorable night was one that didn't go as we had planned it to.
I think that was every night of your retreat.
Oh, it was awesome. It was so neat to just laugh with everybody and talk with everybody. But I remember we had gone to Honolulu Beach, and we were going to do a bonfire there. Mm-hmm. And we had set up, there's chairs set up for us, and it was a little bit of a cooler night, but the clouds were just this really pretty pink all over the sky. And I guess because of the winds, we weren't able to do the bonfire, but we all sat there and talked, and it was just such a beautiful night. And they had the little metal laser cut figurines for our kids set up, and it was just really emotional and really special.
Did you sing for everybody that night too?
Yeah. Yeah, we did.
I think that was everybody else's highlight.
Yeah, that was fun.
So is there anything that's impacted you in the long term? And it could be Ohana Oasis or just anything that you look at from the time that you lost Mariah to now, like lesson or experience?
Yeah. I would really just have to say, honestly, the friends that we met there. I think that in society you can't really talk to people about what you've gone through without kind of bringing the room down. And so the people that we met there, you kind of just clicked with. And it's funny because if I ever need to talk to somebody, or if they ever need to talk to somebody, it's kind of this tight-knit group that you can just make a phone call and you can talk to someone who knows how you feel and knows what you're going through. And so that to me was just special and memorable, and one of the huge keys to me too, because I didn't really want to get out for a long time. I felt different from, society and everybody. So I kind of closed myself in, and it was just really helpful to me to have that, to be able to, have somebody I could talk to, or somebody that, knew what I was going through. And it kind of helped me to reintegrate into society with everything that I was going through. So
wow, that's cool to hear. A couple of things, that you're still in touch with them, several years later, and also that it kind of started that process of going from being kind of holed up. And I think that most parents go through that, but that not only did you get that connection with them at that time and the ongoing connection, but it got you reintegrated into just being in the world again in some way.
yeah.
Was it kind of like a soft landing of getting back into the real world?
Yeah, definitely. Because I can remember, like, when we found out that we could come, we were super excited. But then this fear came with that, oh my gosh, I'm actually going to have to talk to people and get to know people. And that was pretty real. That was pretty hard, and so that was a huge obstacle that I think kind of helped me to get back into society, because it brought a lot of my self-esteem back to be able to sit in a room with these people and talk about what we had been through. And I remember one of the exercises that we did, we were writing things down around the table about other people. And I think it was the Collins. They had said something about me that just really touched my heart and made me feel really good. I think it was Dan. He said, that he had really seen me come out of my shell and do things that, enjoying life. And so that kind of stuck with me, that if I can feel happy here and meet these friends and have these connections, that, that's worth trying to do again in regular life when you're not in this beautiful place. And
Right. And totally supported.
Yeah, exactly.
It's amazing to hear that one of your biggest challenges going into it was like putting yourself out there and starting to make connections again. And that at the end of the week, when asked for how you touched somebody, that Dan hit right on the point that you were most wanting to find or needing. And he probably didn't even know that, but to see that that's where you touched them was the part that was what you perceived as a weakness. That's cool. What's been the most surprising thing to you in your experience of being a grieving, bereaved parent, and moving through that experience of probably being in a different place now? But what's been the most surprising thing?
How you can just be okay one minute and feel like you're finally starting to process through all of this grief and feeling somewhat normal, and how grief can just come right back in a second and take you out for a little bit. It's really surprising how that can happen and how it does happen.
And have you found that it's things that you wouldn't anticipate being triggers that kind of hit you, or is it things that you do can see why?
I'd say both. There's sometimes, for instance, a smell in the air that reminds me of her, or a song or something that, because we adopted 2 little boys after we came there. Sometimes they do things that really remind us of her. So it's both.
Yeah. What would you say has been the biggest ongoing struggle?
Biggest ongoing struggle for me, I think, is feeling guilt when I start to really feel happy and feel like I'm kind of moving ahead, and I start to feel guilt that, you know, my daughter's not here. And I shouldn't be, should I feel, kind of questioning myself, should I feel happy again? Should I allow myself to feel that without her here? So that's been the big thing for me.
And have you found ways to deal with that, or is that still something that you're just left with, like, I feel this immense guilt?
I have found ways to deal with it. I think that as a family, we've really, and this is actually something that I started to do there. I remember we went kayaking in the ocean, and I absolutely just fell in love with it. And so that's one thing that has really helped me a lot, is if I'm having a really tough day and I'm upset, feeling the guilt and things like that, I'll go and I'll, you know, find one of the lakes, or, you know, there's different little ponds around here too that we can go to, and I'll do that and just think about her and think about what she would want for me. Would she want me feel that guilt? And that helps me a lot to kind of connect with nature. And
that sounds like connect with nature, connect with her, and also recognize that she'd want you to be happy.
Yeah.
All of
Yep.
that. That's beautiful. And then what's the biggest blessing that you've gotten out of something that's tremendously horrible and tragic, but I would imagine there's some silver linings in there?
The biggest blessing?
Mm-hmm.
These 2 little brats over here.
I can see them popping in the background there.
Yeah. We started doing foster care, and came across this sweet little boys and ended up adopting them. And we would have never thought to do that if it weren't for Raya. But after she passed away, we just really wanted to help in some way in her honor. And it's been a huge blessing in our lives. We absolutely love the adventures that these guys send us on, and it's been fun.
I'm sure you guys are a blessing to them as well. So that's neat to see it.
Yeah, we saved each other, that's for sure.
Awesome. And you might have more than one, but what's at least one lesson that you've learned through your loss?
Oh gosh. That love, the biggest lesson I think is that love transcends. Just because someone is gone, and it took me a long time to learn that lesson. I felt like just because my daughter's gone, that she's gone, and I'm not gonna feel her, I'm not gonna see her. But as I allowed myself to start to heal, I learned to really just see her in everything. And the more I open myself up to that, I do. There's certain things that, you know, when things are going really good, I feel that she's a part of that. I feel that she's kind of maybe setting things up, or, you know, up there saying, okay, you know, I'm guiding you guys down this path. And so as I've let myself heal and feel her just in everything around me. I think a lot of things have opened up to me, and I've been able to really recognize a lot of different blessings in life that I wasn't recognizing before.
I love that. I think that's something that seems to be a common theme, both that it takes time to accept that, but that parents do see like the relationship with your child is ongoing. Just because they're not here physically doesn't mean that the relationship is gone. It is something that can continue. And for myself anyway, I've experienced it. In some ways, it's in a bigger, more expansive way than it could be if she were still here on Earth.
Yeah, absolutely.
So thank you for sharing that. How, and you've mentioned it in a couple different things, but I'm curious, how do you continue to honor Mariah in your day-to-day life and on anniversaries and holidays?
Yeah, definitely. Well, there's lots of different things. I mean, the one is through my boys, being able to love and care for them. The other things are just trying to help other people. She was all about, helping people. And so I feel closest to her when I'm trying to help others.
And do you do anything on, and you may not because it runs the gamut, do you do anything on birthdays or anniversary dates or holidays?
Yeah. Like on the anniversary dates, we just, like the day she passed, we try to do something quiet as a family, just peaceful, usually something out in nature where we can really just think about her. On birthdays, usually we just have a special dinner and sometimes a cake for her and talk about our favorite memories of her.
That's great. What advice, my phone keeps dinging, sorry about that. What advice would you give to a grieving parent that's maybe newer into it?
Just one day at a time. At first, it kind of seems like you're never going to get through this. And believe me, I think 3 years into it, I was still, really having a rough time of things. But if you really just try to take it one day at a time and look at the blessings in your life, try to focus on those, it will get better, and you will be able to finally see the happy things about your child, the happiness that she brought or he, the great things that they brought instead of just the bad, the hard, the sad, things that they went through. And then once you get to that point, it is really nice to be able to just remember those good things. Yeah. So just hang in day to day.
Hang in there. Yeah, that's a good one. So how about, let's talk a little bit about the people around you that love you and want to support you. If you want to share, is there somebody that did it right or really tried to do it right? And what did that look like, or what can that look like, both in the short term and in the long term?
Okay. Yeah, there's actually one friend of mine that she actually came in kind of later in the picture. She didn't know my daughter, but she was just always there she didn't really, she acknowledged my grief and was just a friend that I could talk to whenever I needed to talk to somebody. She never judged or, told me things like, you've got to get yourself out of this, or she was just there to listen. And, she would know when I needed to talk to someone, and she'd say, let's let's go to lunch, or, you know, let's Zoom, let's talk on the phone. You know, she always kind of knew when I needed to talk to somebody, and that's been really helpful because she's just always there. There was a lot of people that left and couldn't really deal with what was going on, even family, you know, that it was too hard for them to be there. And she really just was my rock. She didn't do a whole lot other than listen and let me know that she loved me. And that was really important.
Do you feel like people sometimes either don't say anything or say the wrong thing because like they're trying so hard thinking there's something right to say, and yet what I'm hearing you say is it's not even about saying anything right, it's just about being a loving presence and a non-judgmental presence?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Because sometimes we say things that even though we meant only they come out totally wrong. And to just have someone who's there, even just to give you a hug, or, you know, put a hand on your shoulder and say, you know, I'm here for you, and you can always vent to me, you know, that speaks volumes.
Yeah. So what's one thing that you'd like to share with people about losing a child that they may not know?
Don't be a person that is shut off and just puts your grief away. I think that grief is your last final testament to the love that you felt for your child. And to feel that and to go through that, you know, and actually deal with it instead of putting it aside, you actually become closer to your child. When you just put it away, you not only don't deal with it, but you're pushing them away as well. And to go through your grief and acknowledge it, you're showing your child love. And by going through this hard battle, you're going to be a lot closer to them at the end. So allow yourself to go through the grief.
That's beautiful. That's really beautiful. Do you have any, and it's hard sometimes to think about what it is that you did or are doing, but do you have any wisdom on what that means to go through it and to embrace the grief?
It's definitely different for everybody, I think, you know, based off of the relationship that they had with their child. But I think that the biggest thing is just allow yourself to feel everything that you need to feel, because that's your child, and that's everything that they were. And so, you know, as you go through it, I think it's helpful to just think of them a lot and think of the things that they would love and what they would want for you. Really think about what they would want for you, because they don't want to see you sad and suffering, and just try to be strong. Did that answer? Sorry.
That's great. There's no right or wrong answer. That's great. Just, yeah, I think I'm looking forward to doing this series because we don't talk about grief, and especially as bereaved parents, like you touched on it, it's a very isolating feeling, and grasping and looking for, am I normal in what I feel, and like, how do I move forward? And I really want to get these videos out there, and so that people can hear, oh, I am normal. No matter what they're saying, there's somebody that's felt that way. And then also like, oh, what can I go for next? Because you just feel so like, oh my God, what do I do? I have nothing to hold on to. So
yeah,
just sharing like the hindsight of being 7 years out. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Well, I'm glad you let me. Yes.
Do you have anything else that you would like to share?
Just, know that you are loved. There's so many people that have to go through this, and it's probably the hardest experience that anybody can go through. And that by going through your retreats or your online courses, that they're on the right track. There's so many people that they can connect with and find support, which is so important to have somebody that knows. So